Howard, are you sure you want to leave the literary world? You're really on the rise right now. On the other end of the call, Tom sounded surprised. Howard paused for a moment, then answered with a firm voice. I'm sure. I'll hold a press conference in a week, and that's the same day my flight's booked for. Could you help set things up over there? Tom didn't ask more. He knew once Howard made up his mind, nobody could change it. After hanging up, a notification popped up on X. Tina, the chairwoman of the BR group, spent $200 million on a piece of ancient jade. Tina was smiling in the interview video. Tina, can you tell us why you'd spend $200 million on this piece of jade? The said gold has its price, but jade is priceless. Yet isn't this a bit too much for such a small piece? Tina glanced affectionately at the jade pendant, as if looking at a beloved one. As long as my husband likes it, no price is too high. The comment section exploded, everyone touched by Tina's love for her husband. This woman really knows how to love. I'm so jealous of Howard. I heard this jade may be small, but it's got deep meaning. It represents eternal, unwavering love.
No wonder.
Tina and the famous author Howard are known for their love. Tina almost gave up her inheritance to marry him back then, and they've been married 5 years without kids. Rumor has it Howard needs some health adjustments, but there's never been a hint of scandal. Tina pretty much spoils him. They're the envy of many. Howard chuckled to himself, his gaze resting on Tina's face. She was as stunning and charming as when they were in college. Back then, Howard became the star of C University after publishing an article in the school newspaper. His looks made him even more sought after. But Tina held on the longest. Howard was aloof, cold to everyone. Many lost interest and moved on. But not Tina. She pursued him for 4 years. She didn't care about his cold words or others' sneers. She was focused only on being with him. In a dorm fire incident, Tina rushed in like crazy to save Howard when he was barely conscious. She nearly lost her life, spending 2 months in the hospital. From that moment, Howard opened his heart to her. When he agreed to date her, he said just one thing. Tina, I've been abandoned all my life. If you ever let me down, I'll leave you first. I refuse to be abandoned again. Howard had a tough childhood. At 5, his mom left him and his dad for another man. His dad, devastated, abandoned Howard the next year and drowned himself. His grandmother, who raised him, was diagnosed with cancer before he went to college. Not wanting to be a burden, she took her own life too. His early life was filled with farewells. He always knew he could only rely on himself. That day, Tina hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. Don't worry, Howard. I swear you'll never get that chance. Disregarding her family's objections, Tina married Howard right after graduation. She cherished him, their love growing stronger each year. In others' eyes, she was the ideal, passionate, and wealthy partner. But promises are easy to make and hard to keep. Tina wasn't an exception. A month ago, Howard found out Tina was cheating. For half a year, her late nights and business trips increased. Turned out, all the time she wasn't with him, she was with some other guy. Howard set his phone down, starting to pack his stuff. He never cared much for material things, just some favorite books and simple clothes. He couldn't take the books with him, so he packed them into boxes to donate. Grabbing a sheet of paper, he scribbled divorce agreement. He made this decision the moment he discovered her betrayal. Besides the shock, his mind was only on how to get away. For once, he wasn't the one being left behind. It wasn't satisfying being the one leaving, though. When Tina got home, she looked delighted. Howard rarely showed interest in anything. This piece of ancient jade was something he liked at first glance. That's why Tina was willing to pay any price for it. Honey, look, isn't this the one you liked? She wrapped her arms around his waist and presented the small box proudly. Her gaze was as passionate as ever. Who would have thought someone who seemed to adore him could live a double life? Howard caught a whiff of cologne that wasn't his, subtly pushing her away. She left wearing a blazer. Now she was down to just a shirt. Howard controlled himself. He didn't want to know where she had been or what she had done. He didn't care anymore. He took the pendant. He liked that jade because of the story of the Yen King and his wife. Yet now, looking at Tina, imagining her being close to someone else, his heart felt crushed, broken to pieces. Looking at the jade again, all he saw was irony. What's wrong? Don't you like it? Tina noticed that something was off with Howard's mood. She felt so nervous and didn't know what to do. No, I really like it, Howard said, struggling to form a smile. Once Tina heard that, she finally felt relieved. She insisted on helping him put it on, but Howard refused. Such a nice thing should be for people truly in love, but that's not us. This is too expensive, I can't bring myself to wear it. Howard casually put the small box on the shelf, and Tina hugged him again. Howard, nothing is more precious to me than you. You deserve all the wonderful things. The cologne on Tina made him feel slightly nauseous. She's probably said those sweet words to that other man too. Howard gently pushed her away and turned his back to compose himself. As he turned around, he saw Tina frowning at a few boxes of books. Should we pack these books up? You don't read them anymore? Normally, Howard cherished these books. Many were rare editions that Tina had found for him. Giving them away was tough for him. But for Howard, if he could let go of his most important lover, what else couldn't he let go of? I've read them all. I plan to donate them to kids in the mountains, he said, clenching his fists tightly. Tina, you don't know yet, but just like those books, I'm letting you go too. Tina busied herself making dinner with all of Howard's favorite dishes. Honey, you've lost weight recently. Eat more of this meat, she urged, placing his favorite dishes in front of him. When she saw him start eating, she picked up her bowl with a smile. Howard tasted bland food, but Tina didn't notice his disappointment. Oh, the estate is almost done. How about we go camping tomorrow with some friends? That's the vacation estate I built just for you, Tina said. Howard once casually mentioned how much he liked a place with mountains and water, and she had gone and bought a lakeside plot to build a private estate for them. Howard wanted to decline, he really wasn't in the mood for it. But Tina was already inviting friends on her own. After making calls, she couldn't even finish her meal and started packing for Howard. I'll bring you a blanket since it'll be a bit chilly tomorrow. And don't forget your tea, Tina said while packing, showing how attentive she could be. Howard found it amusing to watch her. It must be exhausting to juggle other relationships and still pretend to care. The next morning, Tina took Howard to the estate, a first for him too. There was a white castle surrounded by an area sporting over 1,000 square feet. It had lily flowers that Howard loved and lots of cute animals. He would have loved it in the past, but now it didn't bring him much joy. Hello, said Melody, one of Tina's close friends, along with some others he didn't know well. Everyone was busy with their tasks, except Howard, who just sat around, with Tina not letting him help at all. Sweetie, just relax and rest. I don't want you to tire yourself. Everyone was used to how Tina pampered Howard. It was no secret, inside or outside their circle, that she doted on him. Every few moments, Tina would check on him with a plate of fruit or a blanket to keep him comfortable. Do you want some of that? I got it especially for you. Howard nodded. Tina immediately took the grilled meat skewer from a friend's hand. She wasn't bothered by their teasing comments, watching affectionately as Howard ate, and quickly wiped his mouth when it got dirty. Have some juice. Your stomach hasn't been well. Take care of it, she said, handing him a glass and smiling as she watched him drink. Sweetie, it's great being with you like this. If you like this place, let's come every week. Okay? Howard smiled, wondering if she'd bring someone else next time. Out of boredom, Howard flipped through his phone and saw Alan's post. Vacationing with wifey today. The photo was of the estate, and Howard's hands began to shake. Alan was the other man in Tina's life and the leader of Howard's fan club. A month ago, Howard discovered Tina's affair through Alan's account. She really couldn't leave him even on this camping trip. Alan had to be here. Wow, Alan's so lucky. Just back from the Maldives and now at such a gorgeous place. His wife is amazing. Other than Howard, I'm so envious of Alan. How can someone be this fortunate? Could we get a glimpse of your wife? We're all curious about what such a great woman looks like. Howard read through his fan group's comments, biting his lips in agony. He didn't know how long Alan and Tina had been together, only that Alan was the opposite of him, outgoing and lively, with good looks and a fiery spirit. Hang on, I'll show you all later, Alan replied. Right after Alan's reply, Tina's phone rang. Howard watched her smile in a way he had never seen, engrossed in responding to the message, even licking her lips at the end. I'll be back after a phone meeting. You guys enjoy, she said to everyone, then turned to Howard. Sweetie, I need to step out for a while. If you need anything, just ask Melody. She left before Howard could respond, hurrying towards the White Castle without her laptop. Howard chuckled. Is that where they were meeting? But Tina had promised he'd be the first to stay there. When I opened the group chat again, Alan had already posted a picture. It was a selfie in the castle's entry hall, with him holding a woman. Even though she was facing away, Howard recognized the outfit. It was what Tina wore today. My wife's shy, so you guys won't get to see her face. From the back, you can tell she's a rich beauty. Lucky you, bro. That figure. She's as hot as Tina. Alan even sent a voice message, with the woman's voice calling him babe. Others might not know, but Howard did. It was Tina's voice, the one she used when she was emotional. Turns out she calls others babe too. Howard forced himself to turn off his phone. His heart raced like he was the one caught in an affair. How could they be so bold? About an hour later, Tina finally came out. Her shirt, not yet fully buttoned, showed a faint lipstick mark. Her exposed collarbone had a row of hickeys. Howard's heart ached deeply. He wanted to ask Tina, were you that impatient? Was sneaking around right under his nose really that thrilling? You cold? Need to go inside and rest? Tina gently wrapped her arm around Howard and kissed his temple. He quickly stood up, unable to accept that she'd just come from Alan's bed and was now pretending to be so loving. Every touch from Tina made him feel disgusted. I'm feeling a bit tired. I think I'll head out. Go inside where? The room they just had their fun in? Howard couldn't do it. Are you okay? Want to see a doctor? Tina's concern seemed genuine and she looked anxiously at Howard. He pushed her hand away, smiling and shaking his head. But Tina was already picking him up and heading towards the garage. Babe, since you're tired, let's go home. I'll stay with you. As they passed the White Castle, Howard inadvertently looked back. He saw Alan in a robe, lazily smiling at him. It was then Howard understood it was all intentional. Suddenly, Howard felt dizzy. These past months, he hadn't been eating or sleeping well. From disbelief to reluctant acceptance, every day felt like eternity. He was worn out. Howard, what's wrong? Don't scare me. Tina noticed something was off with Howard and turned pale with fear. She held him shakily, instructing the driver to head to the hospital. Knowing Howard's health had never been great, she always cared for him meticulously. Her voice trembled with fear now. Babe, wake up. We're almost at the hospital. A tear dropped onto Howard's face. He slowly came to, seeing Tina with red eyes. He reached out to touch her face, but his hand paused mid-air, unable to reach her. He couldn't believe that someone who loved him this way could betray him. Tina, I'm okay. No need for the hospital. I just want to go home. Tina shook her head. She was genuinely frightened and insisted the driver go to the nearest hospital, needing assurance he was fine. The moment Howard fainted, Tina had felt deeply guilty for the first time. Thankfully, the tests showed nothing serious. The doctor said he was overthinking and a bit malnourished, so they gave him 2 injections. Howard lay on the hospital bed, watching Tina move in and out, without any feeling of gratitude. He even wondered, if he died earlier, would Tina feel guilty in the future? Then he thought himself foolish. Everything already happened. What was he expecting now? Babe, you scared me there. Promise me. Take care of yourself. Okay? Your life is mine. You need to stay well. Tina pressed Howard's hand against her face. Howard stared at her. Yes, he should live well. But not for her, for himself. Tina's phone vibrated in her pocket. On the 7th ring, Howard urged her to pick it up, and reluctantly, she did. Seeing the caller, a mild panic surfaced in Tina's eyes. You rest a bit. I'll go take this. Driven by a strange impulse, Howard followed her. At the end of the hall, he heard Tina's sweet voice. Babe, what's up? Didn't we just part? Miss me already? You little tease. Howard covered his mouth, forcing himself to swallow all the hurt. How could she shift so quickly from worrying about him to flirting with someone else? When did Tina become this way? All right, I'll be right over. Wait for me. Love you. Howard hurried back to the room. Tina soon came in looking apologetic. I'm sorry. Babe, something came up at work. I have to go. Can you get home by yourself later? Howard wanted to ask what truly mattered to her. Was it their marriage, their promise, or just passion? But the words stuck in his throat, so he simply nodded understandingly. Go ahead, work is important. If Tina had looked a little closer, she might have seen the pain and despair in his eyes. But she didn't. Eager to leave, she forgot even a goodbye, rushing off to meet another man. By the time Howard got home, it was already late. Tina hadn't sent any messages. Looking at the empty house, he went to her study and started packing everything related to him. If he was leaving, it would be clean and complete. Tina didn't deserve to keep anything of his, not even a strand of hair. As dawn broke, Howard still couldn't sleep. He checked his phone and saw Alan had tagged him in a post. Wifey made my favorite fish. Gotta work extra hard tonight. Even though the figure in the picture was blurred, Howard could tell it was Tina. This fish dish was one of her specialties. Turns out she even cooked for Alan. He wasn't the only one in her heart anymore. Below the post were loads of congratulatory comments. Alan, if you keep showing off like this, we're gonna have to team up to steal your wife. Howard felt like his heart was bleeding. That blood seeped, bit by bit, onto the cold floor, and the soul that loved Tina slowly faded away. The new book launch was 3 days away. Howard announced that, on the day of the launch, he would quit writing. It wasn't until the next night that Tina hurried home. As soon as she came in, she pulled Howard aside. Babe, what did you mean by that post online? Why are you quitting writing? Howard was speechless, chuckling. So she did look at it. Huh? Did she see Alan's taunts at him too? Or, because she adores Alan, did she manage to ignore it? In recent years, several of Howard's books had turned into popular hits on screen, making him a hot new author. Studios lined up for adaptations. Quitting now seemed like career suicide. Even Tina thought so. I'm just tired of writing, he said, leaving out the part about how, ever since he found out about her affair, he hadn't been able to write. The proud feelings he once held pushed him into despair and left him desperate. Overnight, it felt like he had lost his soul and the urge to write disappeared. Tina hugged him warmly, playfully patting his head. You scared me. I thought something happened. If you're exhausted, just don't write. It's not like I can't support you. Howard smiled too. Yeah, with Tina's position, she could easily support plenty of Howards. But he just wanted to be Howard, to be himself. Your birthday is tomorrow. How do you want to spend it? Howard changed the subject. He didn't want to watch Tina putting on a show in front of him. Every year, Tina's birthday was a big gathering, and this year would probably be the same. Melody set something up, like always. Nothing new, Tina said, watching Howard closely. She felt something was off about him today, but couldn't quite figure out what. He was still smiling gently at her and speaking softly, but she had a nagging worry inside. She couldn't pinpoint where the problem was. All right, a big celebration sounds fun. On her birthday, Tina headed off to work like usual. Howard gave the housekeeper and staff the day off. While the place was empty, he called a moving company. He donated everything of his that was useful and sold the rest. In no time, their home was half empty. Looking at the vacant house, Howard felt empty too. That evening, Howard arrived half an hour early. Just as he was about to enter, he overheard Tina talking. Howard's coming tonight, so all of you better watch what you say. If any of you dare mention anything about Alan, don't blame me for not being a good friend. Melody sneered. Tina, you're such a player. Keeping up the good wife act while passionately messing around with that wildcat. Aren't you scared Howard will find out and leave you one day? Tina stayed silent for a while before she spoke. Melody, you aren't married, so you don't know how dull marriage can be. I once thought I'd never get tired. But once I got a taste of something else out there, it felt like I was really living for the first time. Other men really are different. Howard has always been my favorite, But who says loving him means I can't love another man's body? Laughter erupted inside the room. The tears were already pouring down Howard's face. Hearing Tina say those words hurt more than seeing Alan's account. Turns out, true loyalty didn't exist in this world. Even though Tina once risked her life for him, she could still love another man just the same. Howard took a moment to compose himself, then entered the room with a smile. As soon as everyone saw him, they went silent, afraid of saying something they shouldn't. "Baby, why'd it take you so long? I was just about to go find you." Howard politely nodded to everyone, smiling as he sat next to Tina. He would play along with this charade. After all, it was for her benefit and his own. There was a bit of traffic. The table was covered with about 20 dishes, all of which were Howard's favorites. He preferred mild flavors, so not a single dish was spicy, even though Tina's friends loved spicy food. There wasn't a hint of smoke or alcohol in the air. Because of Howard's weak bronchial tubes, he couldn't take it. So Tina had a rule. When Howard was around, no smoking or drinking. Everyone spoke politely, avoiding profanity or crude jokes because Howard didn't like hearing such language. Everything seemed the same as always, yet Howard felt everything was different. The way everyone was looking at him seemed full of mockery and disdain. They thought Howard didn't know about Tina's affair and were complicit in her act. But what they didn't know was that Howard saw them as the real joke. His relationship with Tina was over, and each of them was an accomplice in its end. "Tina, I'm full. You all take your time." Howard had never been one to misunderstand things. He recognized all Tina did for him and gave her ample freedom, like every birthday celebration. Knowing his presence kept everyone from letting loose, he would always leave early. His words were a relief for everyone else. "Is this all you're eating? Not hungry, or is something bothering you? Want me to order some of your favorites?" Tina asked, noticing Howard barely touched his meal. Concerned, she touched his forehead and was relieved he wasn't running a fever. "Don't like this place? No worries, we'll go to that spot you love," she suggested, starting to get up, but Howard held her back and shook his head. "Really, I've had enough. You guys hang out, it's rare to get everyone together. I'll just head out." Everyone stood up to see him off. Tina wanted to leave too, but Howard gently pushed her back in her seat. "You're the birthday girl, you need to stay. I'll call when I'm home. Okay? Don't worry." Reluctantly, Tina kissed his hand and told him to stay safe. Howard smiled as he turned away. "Tina, this is the last act I'll put on for you. Happy with it?" Out the door, he leaned against the wall to control his emotions. If he'd stayed any longer, he'd have lost it.
"Tina, I'm exhausted."
"Get the drinks." Why does Howard make everything complicated? He's nothing like Alan. "Yeah, right, he's gone now. Bring that wild cat here." Laughter erupted as Howard left the restaurant. He no longer cared who joined them. After today, he was done. Tina didn't come home that night. Howard was done watching Alan flaunt his conquest. Then Alan messaged Howard directly. "Howard, stop pretending. I know you know about me and Tina. She loves me. Soon, I'll be her number one, and you'll be history." The word history hit Howard hard, and he finally broke down. Rejected by love again, not just by Tina. Hands shaking, Howard reinstalled an app, determined to find out why Alan thought he was the better man. Alan's post stabbed at Howard's heart. "Wifey's birthday today. Being big brother, I've got her friends covered. Pick." Alan with everyone, Tina on his lap, kissing him. 4th birthday with her, many more to come. For photos from each year perfectly arranged. Best birthday gift for her. "Congrats to my wife, she's a dad now. Pick." A boy and a man smiling Alan's profile. Howard kept reading. Alan's son, Jim, with his ex is now Tina's too. Howard laughed bitterly. He'd covered for Tina's infertility, saying it was his health issue, enduring 5 years of quiet pain. Their 4-year affair? Alan had even used his child. Sitting alone in the dark, Howard stared at the photos. Each view was torture, but he couldn't stop himself. Rage filled him at being the fool for so long and ever trusting Tina. Used to Tina's nightly absences, Howard finally crashed at dawn. It was Tina who woke him, Sleepyhead, you slept long. I've made food. Get up. She kissed him warmly. Howard played along, but strangely, seeing Tina didn't hurt anymore. The old Howard had died in Alan's posts, and in those 5 years spent loving Tina. I'm hungry too. Let's eat, but after today we're done. Save your affection for Alan and your kid. I'm bowing out of your life. As Howard headed downstairs, Tina nervously followed. Something was off. She'd noticed Howard's stuff missing from the study, his memorabilia, his chair, even his prize trophy. Honey, where are your things? Tina asked. Howard just smiled. I'm renovating, put away some stuff. Unsure, she went along because, well, it was his choice. But why only his belongings went, she couldn't tell. Howard snapped her back to reality, pulling her to the table. He picked at the food, devoid of appetite, and watched as she fussed in the kitchen. Tina, you're coming to tomorrow's book release, right? She beamed. Of course. I wouldn't miss your last book launch for anything. He nodded. He was leaving, but not with her. Everyone knew he was stepping back from his career. There was already a huge buzz online, so Howard turned off all the comments. This new book was his final message to his fans. The number of people signing up for his book signing? Way more than expected. Tina only noticed changes in the study. If she'd looked closer, she'd have seen that besides Howard, everything was leaving too, like the divorce papers and that jade pendant. Nothing here was going to be tied to him anymore. When Howard left, he couldn't help but look back. This place held 5 years of dreams, and they're shattering. Leaving now meant never coming back. Babe, what are you looking at? We gotta get to the event. Tina prodded him near the car. Howard just smiled, taking big strides forward. Walking through that door meant a new beginning. Howard, you're worth something better. The place was packed by the time they got there. As they were about to go in, Tina got a call from Alan. Tina, I'm not feeling great. Could you take me to the hospital? Tina was visibly alarmed. Don't worry, I'll be right there. She hung up, looking at Howard. He smiled, waiting for her to speak, already guessing Alan was the only one who'd make her react this way. He was curious how she'd choose, and Tina crushed his last sliver of hope. She chose Alan. Babe, something urgent came up at work. I can't go to the launch with you. I'm really sorry. In that moment, Howard finally felt at peace. Thank you, Tina, for making me let go. It's okay, you go take care of it. This isn't that big a deal. Tina was grateful and kissed him on the forehead. I'm sorry, babe. I'll be back soon. I promise. Wait for me. Before she even finished speaking, she was gone. Howard received a message from Alan just then. Howard, just give up already, will you? I've been more important for a while now, both in bed and in her heart. You should have known by now. I can give her a complete family which you'll never be able to match. Howard just glanced at the text and walked into the venue, head held high. He didn't lose, he just didn't want to be caught in a 3-person drama anymore. The first to let go is always the winner. Howard, thank you for your words over the years. We'll always be your fans wherever you go. Howard, if you return, we're still your biggest supporters. Howard, don't forget, you promised me a script. I'll hold you to that. Seeing the crowd, Howard got emotional. Fans, colleagues, old partners, they came to see him off. Yet, the one who should have been there was by another man's side. Howard stepped on stage and took a deep bow. Thank you for your love all these years. I'm gonna miss the literary world, but every one of you, I'll remember. May you have lives more exciting than mine. Tears mixed with laughter, Howard waved goodbye to everyone. Tina didn't come, but so what? He wasn't alone. Just losing a faithless woman wasn't a big deal. As the autumn breeze cooled, who knows how many drifted apart in this lonely season. After the release event, Howard headed straight to the airport. His luggage was already sent ahead. He realized he should thank Alan for keeping Tina occupied, or he'd struggle to leave. Chuckling to himself, Howard figured Alan wasn't that bad. He left the airport without looking back once. As the plane took off, he finally relaxed. He was leaving not just a woman, but a once-beloved career. This was truly a new beginning. Tom met Howard hours later. They hadn't seen each other in 3 years, and the hug was tight. Besides Tina, Tom was Howard's closest person in the world. Now that Tina was out, it was just Tom who mattered. Howard, welcome to Switzerland. Tom didn't ask about Tina, knowing Howard wouldn't leave her unless his heart was shattered. Much like Tom himself with Melody. Tom, you'll have to take care of me from now on. They laughed all the way back home. For the first time in over a month, Howard slept well. Meanwhile, in their home country, Tina couldn't sleep. She rushed to Alan's after getting his call, leaving Howard behind. Seeing Alan, she felt regret. His alluring gaze told her she'd been played. Weren't you sick? She felt uneasy, worried Howard might read too much into her hasty departure. This was his big day, and she ditched him for someone else. That felt wrong. Tina, it's been days since we exercised. I missed you. If I didn't call, you'd never come. Sensing her unease, he gently leaned on her shoulder to apologize. He knew what day it was. He wanted Tina by his side on Howard's important days. He wasn't worried about her anger. After all, that child was his leverage. For some reason, Tina felt restless. When she thought of Howard at the press conference, her heart felt heavy. She told herself not to feel guilty. She had been good enough to Howard. One minute Tina was restless and anxious, and the next, she found herself in Alan's arms. She never could resist Alan's embraces, and frankly, it had been a long time since they were together. She assumed Howard would still be waiting for her, but she didn't know she'd never see that desperate man again. Alan kept her occupied from morning till evening, but unlike usual, Tina didn't derive much pleasure from it. Her mind kept drifting back to Howard. I've got to go, Tina said as she got dressed. No matter what, she had to be with Howard tonight. Alan's eyes turned a bit red, and he pointed to the next room. Jim misses you too. Are you really not going to spend time with us? A hint of irritation crept into Tina. Alan's overwhelming passion always made it hard for her to resist. But he had always been mindful, never interfering with her life with Howard. Lately, though, Alan's clinging seemed to increase. Alan, you need to know your place. Don't think you can tie me down. Alan knew Tina's personality well enough to not push it further. There'd be no good outcome, so he let her go. Without glancing back, Tina hurried out. She spoke out of turn once again. Her neglect of Howard was becoming more and more evident, even to herself. Yet Howard remained as calm as ever, not making a fuss, and all she wanted at that moment was to return to him. Tina went out of her way to buy Howard's favorite cake as a peace offering. When she got home, it was already 10 p.m. The villa was dark, which made Tina frown. No matter how late she returned, Howard would always leave the lights on for her, even if she stayed out all night. He usually stayed up late. Why would he be in bed so early today? She turned on the lights and rushed upstairs to the bedroom. Baby, look what I brought you, she called. The thought of Howard peacefully sleeping in his pajamas made her feel secure. But when she opened the door, the room was empty. It was then she noticed that Howard's desk was gone. The bedroom only had a bed, stripped of the bedding she knew. An ominous feeling rose within her. Are you in the bathroom? Come out. I brought your favorite cake, she called again. But the only response was her own voice echoing in the empty room. Setting down the cake, slightly anxious, she turned on every light in the villa. She searched every room, even the closet, but Howard was nowhere to be found. Panicking, she ran upstairs and opened the wardrobe. Apart from her clothes, nothing of Howard's was there. Determined, she looked everywhere, yet it was as if Howard had never lived there. The housekeeper, woken by the commotion, watched Tina's frantic expression in confusion. Tina, what are you doing? The housekeeper asked as Tina desperately clutched her shoulders. Is Howard in your room? She asked, but the housekeeper shook her head, puzzled. They had left together. Why hadn't they come back together? Tina, her hands trembling, dialed Howard's number, but it was already disconnected. For the first time, she felt a flutter of panic. She couldn't find Howard, and his things were gone. What if something happened to him? What if he was hospitalized? Racing thoughts led her to call her assistant. Hi, did Howard's press conference go well today? Tina, Mr. Howard's conference went smoothly, no incidents at all. Then where did he go afterward? The assistant was perplexed. Tina never sounded this frantic. Afterward, he didn't want me to drive him and said he wanted to walk. Tina hung up the phone and continued searching the house. Finally, in the study, she found a divorce agreement and a small piece of ancient jade. Suddenly, it hit her like a ton of bricks. Howard wants a divorce? How? They had been fine, hadn't they? Could it be he knew about Alan? Impossible. She had been discreet, and Howard hadn't shown any signs. Slumping to the floor, she didn't know where to begin looking for him. Howard had no family left except her. Where could he possibly go? When did Howard's stuff get moved? Why didn't anyone tell me? An uneasy realization dawned on her that Howard leaving might have been building for some time, but she hadn't noticed. Her voice grew louder, scaring the housekeeper a bit. His things were moved this past week, said the housekeeper. He said the house needed remodeling, so we didn't question it. Tina, clutching her head, collapsed in despair. She finally understood her unease all day. Regret washed over her. If she hadn't left the venue, if she'd stayed with Howard, would he still be there? Looking up at the bookshelf, she remembered the books Howard had thrown out days ago. His sudden detachment from the literary world, the missing furniture, and items he cherished. It was clear now he had planned this for a while. But she loved him. How could he bear to leave? How could it be possible that he wants a divorce? Tina sat desolately on the cold floor all night. She tried to piece together what went wrong that made Howard leave without a word. The only reason she could think of was him finding out about her and Alan. Tina felt more and more worn out overnight. She remembered Howard from college, the guy everyone admired, the man she tirelessly pursued for 4 years. Suddenly, Tina recalled something Howard had said long ago. Tina, I've been abandoned my whole life. If you ever betray me, I'll leave you without hesitation, because I refuse to be the one left behind again. Yeah, he must have found out about her and Alan. That must be why he doesn't want her anymore. Thinking of this, Tina raised her hand and slapped herself hard. Twice. If only she had stayed true to her heart. If only she hadn't been tempted by Alan's attention. If she had kept her vow to never betray Howard, maybe he wouldn't have left her. The Howard she knew was gentle but steadfast. He was afraid of being abandoned and saw her as his only anchor. And what did she do? She thought she was being discreet, seeking a bit of excitement outside their monotonous marriage. Initially, she felt guilty, but as the affairs continued, she started enjoying it. She even prided herself on having a perfect life, an ideal husband at home and a lover outside. That was what she thought success looked like. But she forgot how much Howard despised betrayal and hated being left behind. Knowing she had deceived him for 4 years, how could he possibly act as if nothing happened? Tina's thoughts were interrupted by a call from Melody. Croakily, she answered. Melody, Howard's gone. He wants a divorce. Tina began to choke up, realizing she had no one to turn to here except bookish fans of Howard. Melody sighed on the other end. They were best friends, and she had seen Tina and Howard's struggles. She'd admired Tina's courage to stand up to her family. If she had that courage, perhaps she wouldn't have lost Tom. Melody had warned Tina to be careful, not to go too far. But Tina believed she was flawless. Tina, maybe someone knows where Howard is. Tina's bloodshot eyes widened suddenly. That's right, there's Tom. He's Howard's best friend, he'd know where Howard is. She didn't wait for Melody to say more and hung up. Check for me if Howard left the country yesterday, and do it fast. 3 years ago, Tom left the country, and no one knew where he went, but Howard definitely did. Tina felt like she was clutching a lifeline, so she started packing. She wouldn't just give up. Howard could yell or hit her, but he couldn't just leave her like this. Tina, we found it. Mr. Howard booked a ticket to Switzerland a week ago and arrived last night. We couldn't find where he's staying, though. A slight smile appeared on Tina's face. It didn't matter. She now knew he was in Switzerland. She would bring him back, apologize, make amends, cut ties with Alan. She only wanted Howard. Just as she stepped out the door, she saw Alan rushing over. He seemed surprisingly informed, knowing immediately about Howard's departure. Tina, where are you going? I'm not feeling well today. Can you take me to the hospital? I'm worried about Jim. He wasn't even finished before Tina pushed past him. If you're sick, go to a hospital. What good am I? Alan refused to let go. Now that Howard was finally out of the picture, he didn't want to miss this opportunity. Tina, what are you saying? Aren't you worried at all? Tina had long run out of patience. She never found Alan so insufferable before. Get lost. One more word and don't blame me for being rude. Alan was too scared to breathe. He wanted to see if Howard would ever forgive her. Melody knew with Tina's determination she'd quickly find out where Howard went. After 3 years, she texted Tom. They'd never changed their contacts, but they both knew not to reach out. She meant to ask Tom to talk to Howard, hoping he could help them reconcile. But unexpectedly, because of her message, Tina and Howard narrowly missed each other in a foreign land. Howard stared out at the snow, his thoughts drifting. He and Tom had talked a lot recently about how he discovered Tina's affairs and his decision to leave. He spoke without sadness, as if recounting someone else's story. Tom realized he had finally let it go. Though he considered advising Howard, he knew Howard had no expectations left for Tina. Tom, Tina's coming over. Her flight lands tomorrow afternoon. Do you want to see her? Howard gave a bitter laugh, shaking his head. Tom, it's too cold here. Can we go somewhere warmer? Howard never wanted to see Tina again. He didn't care to hear explanations or apologies. Australia was in summer, and Tom hadn't traveled in a while. They booked the earliest flight. Before Tina even landed, they were on a plane bound for Australia. As soon as Tina got off the plane, she couldn't wait to head to where Tom was staying. She pulled a lot of strings to finally get Tom's address. He was living in a small town, running a bakery. No surprise, Howard was likely with him. Tina had only freshened up a bit on the plane. She was exhausted, her eyes sunken and lifeless after just a few days. Just the thought of seeing Howard soon brought her a bit of energy. Her assistant was with her the whole time. She had never seen Tina so down. Even tough business challenges never fazed her. But Howard leaving seemed to have taken half her life with him. Why is it taking so long? Isn't it supposed to be close to the airport? Tina anxiously rushed her assistant. The closer she got to Howard, the more nervous and uneasy she became. She wanted to see him, but was also scared. She felt like she was about to lose it. She only knew she loved Howard, more than she ever imagined. She'd rather die than lose him. When they arrived, Tina dashed out of the car, searching along the long street for Tom's shop. Although her assistant had prepared beforehand, it still took a while to find the right spot. Eagerly, Tina pushed open the shop door, only to be greeted by a stranger's face. Can I help you? Tina looked around but saw no sign of Tom or Howard. If they weren't in the shop, they should be at home. She asked the shop assistant where Tom lived. They gave her an address but said Tom wasn't in Switzerland. What do you mean? Where did he go? The shop assistant shrugged, indicating they didn't know. Refusing to give up, Tina found Tom's place and knocked for a long time, but no one answered. She finally broke down, sitting in the snow, crying helplessly. Was Howard avoiding her? She had planned how to explain, how to apologize. But did he leave knowing she would come? She wanted to ask him, could he give her another chance? Yell at her if he'd like, but please don't disappear from her life. There was no response, though. Her assistant stayed by her side until late in the night. Tina fell ill in Switzerland. She had a fever for 3 days and nights. In a haze, she saw Howard by her side, asking why she wasn't taking care of herself. But when she opened her eyes, there was only her assistant. Tina, you've been out for 3 days. You're finally awake. Tina didn't care about her health. She pulled out the 4 and hurried outside. It's been 3 days. Surely Howard had come back by now? She dreamt of him. He must be missing her just as she missed him, waiting for her to find him. Tina first went to where they stayed, then to the bakery. But just like 3 days ago, there was no sign of Howard or Tom. She silently ridiculed herself. Tina, you brought this on yourself. You wronged Howard. How could you expect him to forgive you? He must hate you so much to keep running away. He's made up his mind, doesn't want you anymore. Tina was called back home by Maria's phone call. There was trouble in the business. As soon as she got off the plane, reporters swarmed around her. Tina was trapped, surrounded on all sides. Tina, is Alan your lover? Tina, Alan claimed he has a child prepared for you and that you've been together for 4 years. Is that true? Does Howard know about this? Are you two getting a divorce? The barrage of questions made Tina frown in frustration. She didn't plan on answering any, but when asked if she'd divorce Howard, she firmly responded with, "No way." She definitely wasn't agreeing to a divorce. Even if she couldn't find Howard now, she'd keep looking. As long as she didn't sign those divorce papers, they were still married. Call it self-deception or selfishness, she refused to let go of Howard. Neil. Maria was furious with her daughter. Despite family objections, Tina insisted on marrying Howard, so they reluctantly agreed. Luckily, Howard's reputation had grown over the years, making him the pride of the Brooks. But now Tina, once again, went astray, lured by outside temptations, almost having an illegitimate child. The company's stock plummeted, thanks to Alan's drama. You ungrateful child. You were the one who insisted on marrying Howard, and not even a year into the marriage you're cheating? You're getting what you deserve. Tina knelt straight, not saying a word in her defense. She took her mother's reprimand, feeling she deserved it. But Maria, despite everything, couldn't truly punish her daughter. Now, there are rumors everywhere about your affair, affecting the company greatly. Howard will never forgive you. With Alan stirring up trouble, I think you should just admit it. Announce that your relationship with Howard broke long ago, divorce him, and marry Alan. Tina acted like she didn't hear, getting up to leave. She would never marry Alan. How could he compare to Howard? Even if Alan could give the Brooks a child, so what? Without Howard, what would be the point of having a child? As soon as Alan heard Tina had gone to Switzerland, he exposed their affair online. He wanted Howard to give up and put Tina in a tough spot. Only this way would he and his kids smoothly enter the Brooks, and could he truly replace Howard. But he overestimated his position in Tina's heart. He thought the kid was his lifeline. Little did he know, at this point, Tina cared for nothing but Howard. When Tina returned to the villa, Alan had already moved brazenly into her and Howard's master bedroom. The room was full of Alan's stuff. Tina, disgusted, hit Alan for the first time, slapping him across the face, leaving him shocked. Tina, how can you hit me? Howard left you. Since he didn't want you anymore, am I supposed to be some secret affair? Alan covered his face in disbelief that he held no place in Tina's heart. For years, they had shared countless moments. Their time together even surpassed her time with Howard. Furthermore, Alan believed Tina's love for Howard was fake, just a show for others. After all, every time he acted a bit coy, Tina would invariably choose him. You think you deserve to live here? Pack your things and get out. Tina coldly threw his belongings out of the bedroom. It was her and Howard's space, and she wouldn't allow another man to taint it. She wanted to protect it. She believed Howard would come back someday. Tina, have you lost your mind? Is this fair to me? I've been with you for 4 years and even fathered your child. I'm no lesser than Howard. With another slap, Tina hit Alan's face, her eyes red with anger as she grabbed his throat, speaking each word forcefully. What makes you think you compare to Howard? To me, you're not even worth his pinky toe. Alan stared in horror, shocked by Tina's aversion. How could he not measure up to Howard? His tone softened, hoping that if he acted sweet, Tina would soften too.
Tina, I'm sorry.
I got carried away. Please don't be mad. I'll leave now. Frantically, he collected his stuff. He couldn't afford to tear things apart with Tina. He had waited for 4 years, and now that Howard was gone, marrying Tina was inevitable. He wasn't in a rush. Wait, Alan, who gave you the nerve to expose our affair online? Are you tired of living? Tina's hand gripped his throat. The fact that he made it public meant Howard knew too. Was Howard crying somewhere? Was he heartbroken? Tina didn't dare imagine it. Could the loving Howard be utterly disappointed in her? Alan jerked away from her grip and didn't dare to argue back. He needed to leave immediately. Scared of further angering Tina, Alan packed hastily and moved out of the Brooks villa. Tina sat blankly on the bed that belonged to her and Howard. It reeked of Alan's cologne, making her sick. Frustrated, she ripped the sheets off the bed and unexpectedly found Alan's tablet. Frowning, she turned it on and found his account had her blocked all along. She scrolled through Alan's posts and discovered that over the past month, he started frequently sharing updates, tagging Howard in almost every post. Another happy day, my wife got me my favorite cake. The post accompanied by a picture of Tina cutting cake. It was just a back view, but Tina knew Howard would recognize it. Those were the cakes he had custom ordered for her. My wife took me to the Maldives. Such a romantic place. The photo showed Tina and Alan kissing on the beach. Although taken from afar, Howard would instantly recognize Tina. She was wearing vacation couple gear that he bought for a trip he had planned for them, which never happened. Vacationing with my wife. The picture was from Yanba Manor, the only time she and Alan had an affair in front of Howard. Felt both tense and exhilarating. But she never imagined Howard knew all along. Thinking back to his sudden fainting that day, the thought made Tina's heart ache so much she could hardly breathe. What had she done? Following was a series of posts on Tina's birthday, with Alan posting 3 updates. Tina pounded on the mattress with her fists, crying out in agony. She never realized the deep scars she left on Howard. He knew everything, yet he didn't fight or cause a scene. He even left with a gentle smile on his face. Despite the smile, was his heart bleeding every day? On countless nights when she didn't return, did Howard silently cry? The more Tina dwelled, the more it hurt. Her mother was right. She was just a destructive force. Alan's tablet lit up with a message. With shaky hands, Tina opened it. She also saw Alan's final message to Howard. On the day Howard announced leaving the literary world. Howard still won't give up? I'm more important to her. Be it in bed or in her heart. I suggest you let go. After all, I can offer her a complete family. That's something you'll never be able to. Scrolling up, Tina saw every message Alan sent. Howard never replied to any, but she knew he saw them. That's why he adamantly abandoned her. The true villain. This time, Howard didn't get abandoned by others. Tina grabbed her tablet and bolted out, thinking Alan was just crushing on her. At first, she knew Alan was the president of Howard's fan club, but he was different from Howard. His enthusiasm, boldness, and assertiveness were slowly drawing her in. She had warned him not to provoke Howard in any way, yet she didn't expect his ambition. His goal from the start was to replace Howard. Where did this lowly guy get such confidence? How could he ever replace Howard in her heart? As Tina kicked the door open, Alan was respectfully offering tea to Maria. She paused, watching her mother calmly seated there. Mom, what are you doing here? Alan was too guilty to look at Tina. He had reached out to the Brooks. He knew they hoped Tina would have a child. Howard's departure was all his doing. Rather than letting Tina find out later, it was better to secure a shield for himself, either his son Jim or Maria. If I hadn't come, what were you planning to do with my grandchild? No one knows a daughter better than her mom. She knew Tina's love for Howard couldn't be easily replaced by any man. But the past could never return, and after all these years, Tina still had no children. Tina heard her mother's questioning and knew it was Alan's little scheme again. She had had enough. Ignoring her mother's protests, she dragged Alan into the bedroom and slammed the door shut, throwing the tablet at him. Explain this. What is all this about? Tina's furious look scared Alan. He had never seen her so angry, and it was breaking her heart. She desperately wanted to fly to Howard and apologize, comfort him, and tell him she still loved him despite her mistake. But Howard wasn't giving her the chance. She kept trying to reach Tom. Calls went unanswered, texts ignored. She was on the verge of collapse. From the moment she knew Alan drove Howard away, she wanted to kill him. She was blind and responsible for pushing Howard away just like Alan. Alan whimpered, scared but trying to keep it together. Tina, I just love you too much. I wanted to give the kids a complete family too. Tina slapped him hard. He wanted a family by destroying hers with Howard? Alan, I'm telling you, stop dreaming. There's no way you're getting into the Brooks. Send this bastard away tomorrow. Alan was shocked. How could she just discard their child? It was his last card. No matter what, he had to protect this child. Tina, you can't do this. The child is innocent. I won't let you hurt him. Innocent. Neither Alan nor that child was innocent. Alan took advantage of Tina's distraction and ran out. Maria was still in the living room, and he collapsed at her feet, crying. Tina followed him out. Maria's cane struck her, but she didn't dodge. She felt too guilty towards Howard to let this child become a wedge between them. Mom, even if you beat me to death, I won't divorce him. Maria, knowing her daughter's stubbornness, couldn't force her to marry the man, but the child was her bottom line. You might not marry him, but if anything happens to this child, you're out of the Brooks. Tina stayed silent. There were too many things to consider: her mother's health, the BR Group's business. But what she cared about most was Howard's feelings. She clenched her fists and promised to give Howard an explanation. Little did she know, Howard no longer believed in her promises. With Tina not opposing anymore, Alan felt relieved. As long as the child was there, he believed he could someday gain status through the child. He underestimated Tina's ruthlessness, though she would never let him succeed. Tina returned to the empty villa, entering Howard's usual study. It was filled with traces of him. Reading quietly, frowning while typing, leaning on her shoulder, smiling as she whispered sweet things. Silently crying, she thought Howard would always be there waiting for her, offering a warm cup of tea no matter how late she returned home, even if she was just coming from Alan's bed. She thought she could take his kindness for granted. She believed Howard would never leave her, but she was terribly wrong. Howard, appearing weak, was actually strong, while she realized far too late how she couldn't live without him. Only with him present could this place be called home. With that thought, Tina wiped her tears and called her assistant. Hey, find out about Alan's kid and his ex-girlfriend. She needed to handle Alan first, then find Howard to make things right. She was determined to bring him back. The next day, Alan was taken from his home by 2 bodyguards. He cried out, but they acted like they couldn't hear him. It was only when he saw Tina that he realized how terrifying this woman could be. Tina, you can't do this. You promised your mom you'd leave this kid alone. It's not fair to me. Tina gave a cold laugh. Fair? What kind of fair are you talking about? You plotted to drive Howard away. You think that was fair to him? Alan suddenly burst out laughing. Tina, do you think I'm the only one who got Howard to leave? You were part of it too. If you hadn't been so restless and climbed into my bed at the first opportunity, there's no way he would have left you. You had this coming. Even if I lose the kid, he's never gonna want you back. Tina, there's no such thing as picking up the pieces in this world. You'll always be a thorn in his side. Tina's slap shut Alan up. She knew Howard would never forgive her, but she stubbornly believed he would come back. Alan, this is what you owe Howard. I can't let you get away with it. Alan suddenly fell to his knees, pleading. He was counting on this child to elevate his status. He couldn't lose him. Tina, I was wrong. I shouldn't have messed with Howard, but the kid is innocent. If you send him away, your mother won't let you off the hook. Are you trying to end the Brooks family line? Tina grabbed his chin, staring hard at him. Whether I end the family line has nothing to do with you. But my Brooks child can't have a vile father like you. You don't deserve to be my partner. Alan was still desperate, hugging her leg, pleading. Tina, I swear I'll leave. I can stay far away from you. I don't care about fame and fortune. Just leave the child with me. Please? Tina signaled the bodyguards, who dragged Alan away again. Alan didn't struggle anymore. He knew Tina was head over heels for Howard, and he had crossed her line. He was doomed today. He let the bodyguards take his child out of his life. Tina watched to ensure he couldn't use the child against her. Tina, you evil woman, you'll get what's coming to you. Tina wasn't afraid of karma. If it meant Howard would come back, she didn't mind the cost. She rushed to the airport. She found out exactly where Howard and Tom were in Australia. She would bring Howard back. She wanted to tell him, there's nothing standing in their way now. She'd handle everything. As long as he returned, she'd give him anything, even her life. Howard hadn't felt this relaxed in a long time. He and Tom lay in the sun on a beach. Tom thought long and hard, then decided to tell him. Howard, Melody said Tina's back in Australia. I think she's really set on finding you. Howard squinted and smiled. He knew he'd have to face this someday, but he wouldn't see her again. Tom, when she shows up, can you meet her for me? It's time to end this. This time, Tina found Tom easily, but she was disappointed when he was the only one there. Where's Howard? Isn't he here? Tom looked at Tina across from him. Her eyes were lost. She looked thin and had no makeup on. It was clear she really cared about Howard, but what use is caring when you just end up hurting each other? Tom didn't say anything and handed her the phone after calling Howard. Tina hadn't heard his voice in almost a month. She was so emotional that she couldn't speak, and on the other side, Howard was silent too. Even though they were in the same city, it felt like they were oceans apart. I'm sorry. Could you come out and see me, please? Tina couldn't help but start the conversation as she looked around anxiously, afraid she'd miss Howard nearby. But Howard was already on his way to the airport. Tina, there's no need to apologize. We're done. I want to tell you that I'll never see you again in this life. Tina's heart felt like it was pierced by 1,000 needles. With red eyes, she got up and ran outside. There were lots of people on the street, but not a single one was Howard. Hearing him say he'd never see her again hit hard, and it dawned on her that she'd really lost him. She cried so hard on the phone that she was choking. Howard, please don't do this to me. I know I messed up. You can hit me, you can yell at me, just don't hide from me. Please? Without you, what do I do? Howard's eyes clouded with emotion, but he chuckled softly. It's all over, what's there to be sad about? Tina, stop looking for me. I'm leaving you behind. I don't love you anymore. Let's part ways and find happiness on our own. Tina shook her head, even though she knew Howard couldn't see her distress. She tried hard to convince him. Howard, I already made Alan pay. I sent away his child too. Don't worry, I won't have anything to do with him again. Even if you don't forgive me, can I just meet you? Please? Just once? Howard chuckled softly. Tina, whatever happens with him is none of my business. None of it hurts me anymore, so stop pestering me. Tina listened to the busy signal, frantically calling back, but he'd already turned off his phone. She crouched on the busy street, crying like a lost child. Tom took the phone from her hand. This was a side of Tina he had never seen before, and he figured Howard hadn't either. Tina, you should know how deeply he's hurt. He'd rather run around the world than see you again. Let him go and let yourself go too. Also, tell Melody not to call me anymore. We're done, there's no connection between us and you guys. Tom turned and left, leaving Tina standing alone on the streets of Australia. She wanted to run after him and ask what it would take for Howard to forgive her, but she didn't have the courage. When Howard said he didn't love her anymore, he really meant it. BR Group hasn't been doing well lately. First, Tina's image as a good wife shattered, and everyone online felt Howard deserved better. If a woman as husband-loving as Tina could fall apart, are there any good women left in the world? And Alan? What a jerk. He used to post as if he had the perfect wife, but he was actually stealing Howard's. Poor Howard. So what's marriage about anyway? Is it promises that can't be kept or betrayal you can't stand? Either way, I've lost faith in love. Then Tina personally sent away Alan's child. She'd travel abroad over and over for the sake of love. If someone like her is forgiven, then I'm really done with believing in love. Alan deserves it. How can someone like him have the right to be a father? At least Tina has some self-awareness. Howard, do you see them getting what they deserve? It's satisfying, isn't it? Howard looked at the messages from fans and couldn't help but smile. Will he still believe in love? Probably, because at least those years with Tina, they truly loved each other. When Tina returned home, she'd drink herself into oblivion every day, as if that's the only way to forget Howard was gone. She hated returning to a home without Howard, so she'd rather spend her nights at a bar. Melody had no choice but to stay with her as long as Tina was spiraling. "Tina, you've done enough. If you keep this up, even I will start looking down on you." Melody kicked her lightly, frustrated. If Howard knew she was drinking every day, would he feel sorry for her? She resisted the urge to call, remembering Tina told her that Tom said they had no relation from now on. As much as it hurt, she wouldn't interfere anymore. Then, 2 months later, Tina suddenly stopped drinking. She started following a strict work schedule and avoided events or parties. She locked herself in her room, using another form of punishment. At first, Melody was worried. But when she saw Tina wasn't doing anything extreme, she stopped checking in. Alan hadn't contacted Tina since losing the child. Tina's assistant had thrown him out of the villa and took back everything Tina had given him. Online backlash kept him out of the public eye. He hated Tina as much as Howard did. But who could he blame? If it weren't for his greed and his desire to take over, would he be in this situation? Someone like Alan wouldn't just give up. If he couldn't have it, he wanted to ruin it. He needed revenge for everything Tina did to him. He followed Tina for days, noticing she was almost always with her assistant. It was only when she went home that she was alone. One day, he saw Tina by herself and drove straight at her. But she didn't dodge. Facing the oncoming car, she smiled and closed her eyes. If dying meant Howard could forgive her, she'd do it. Alan never expected her to stand still. In broad daylight, he sped toward Tina, and with a loud thud, she was hit and thrown into the air. Her assistant found Tina covered in blood, smiling at the sky. "Howard, I think I'm going to die. Will you come back to see me now?" News of the BR Group CEO Tina's car accident quickly went viral. The culprit was her previous affair, Alan, sparking huge public interest. Is this karma? They hurt Howard, and now the mistress is in jail, the cheater in the hospital. It's justice. Howard turned off his phone, frustrated. Whenever something happened to Tina, people flooded his comments. When he first heard about her accident, his heart did skip a beat. Despite everything, he never wanted her dead. But that was between her and Alan. What's it got to do with him? Tina was in the ICU for 3 days, filled with tubes. The doctors said her will to live was weak. Maria was frantic. She couldn't believe Howard's departure had hit Tina this hard. Not only did she send away her child, but during the accident, she didn't even try to move. She must have had a death wish. Call Howard. Even if he doesn't want to come, maybe hearing his voice could help her. Tina's assistant called Howard. Recognizing the number, he hesitated but finally picked up. "Howard, Tina's really sick. Can you come see her?" Howard heard Maria's voice on the other end. "I have nothing to do with her anymore. I don't care if she lives or dies, and I won't come back." Maria begged him to just say a few encouraging words to Tina. "Howard, you two were married after all. Now she's in a critical state. I don't expect you to come back and take care of her, but could you at least say something encouraging? She probably wants to hear your voice more than anything." Faced with the old lady's plea, Howard softened. He thought for a long while and said just one thing. "Tina, I don't hate you anymore. You don't need to torture yourself. I wish you happiness." Maria played those words over and over again by Tina's ear. A tear slipped from Tina's eye after being in a coma for days. A day later, she slowly woke up. Maria was ecstatic. Maria promised Tina that as long as she didn't try to harm herself again, she would help her get Howard back. But Tina shook her head, feeling that she no longer deserved Howard. Tina was severely injured and only got discharged 3 months later. Her legs would never recover, and she'd be in a wheelchair for life. Every day, she listened to Howard's message repeatedly. That message brought her back to life. Howard said he didn't hate her. It's the same as saying he didn't love her. Without love, there can't be hate. Tina laughed at herself. Even in such bad shape, he didn't come to see her once. She didn't know how she could win Howard back. Though she was out of the hospital, Alan was still in jail, and the Brooks were not going to let him go. After getting discharged, Tina went to see Alan. He was no longer the lively, charming young man. Looking at Alan through the glass, Tina found it quite funny. One of them was physically broken, and the other was about to go to jail. They really got what they deserved. Tina, I didn't expect you to survive. But I heard you're not only disabled but also useless now? Would Howard still want you? How about you get me out, and I won't mind sticking with you? Alan's words grew crazier. His mental state was clearly not good. Tina didn't want him imprisoned and withdrew the charges. Everyone thought she was crazy and still had feelings for him. But only Tina knew that leaving him in prison would be too easy on him. For everything he did to Howard and all the hurt he caused her, she wanted revenge bit by bit. Alan, let's make a deal. I'll get you out and you do what I say to avoid jail time. Deal? Alan's eyes widened, thinking Tina still had feelings for him. Whatever the case, he believed he needed to be free to have a chance to come back. He agreed without hesitation. Tina smiled, thinking to herself, Howard, I'll make Alan pay. The first moment Alan was released, Tina brought him back to where they used to live. He thought he had a new lease on life, but little did he know, things were about to get much worse. Alan, if you want a fresh start, post an apology online to Howard. Tina wore a smile, but her eyes were fierce. Alan had seen what she was capable of and didn't dare disobey. Hi everyone, I'm Alan. I used to lead the fan club supporting the author Howard. 4 years ago, I seduced Howard's wife, Tina. We've been together for 4 years, causing a lot of harm to Howard. A few months ago, I started to disclose our relationship online, forcing Howard to leave while publicly revealing the matter about the child, attempting to use it to threaten the BR group. It was all my fault. Here, I sincerely apologize to Howard. I'm sorry. The video was published as Tina instructed, tagging Howard specifically. If he wouldn't come back, she'd do whatever it took to ease his pain. Is that enough? Tina, you're really despicable. Was it all my fault? Why am I the only one apologizing publicly? Tina fiddled with her wedding ring, laughing mockingly. The apology was just the first step. The real revenge was yet to come. As for herself, hadn't she already faced her consequences? If that wasn't enough, then her only option was death. All right, gather your things because the road ahead won't be easy. Just as Tina finished speaking, a group of bodyguards rushed in. They pinned Alan down before he could react, covered his mouth, and shoved him into a sack. Tina ignored his struggles, thinking, Howard, from now on, this man won't disturb you again. No one knew where Alan was taken. He was in a place he could never escape from. A month later, the assistant reported calmly to Tina. Tina, Alan is dead. Tina chuckled. Couldn't handle it. Huh? Well, now it's my turn. Tina went to Switzerland again. This time, she didn't call anyone. If Howard didn't want to see her, she wouldn't let him know. Sitting in her wheelchair, she smiled with tears in her eyes, watching Howard work across the street. He looked well, rosier, maybe even gained a little weight. Without her, he was indeed happier. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she last saw Howard. 3 months? 6 months? The gentle husband who once waited for her every day was now just a distant sight. Tina's heart felt like it was bleeding. She wanted to rush over and hug him, to ask him how he was, to ask if he'd come home with her. But looking at her legs that couldn't move, how could she, in her broken state, ever compare to the perfect Howard? She still remembered how happy she was the day Howard agreed to be her boyfriend. She vowed never to let him down. But promises have a short shelf life. She got lost in indulgence. This ending was all her doing. Tom, we're about done here. I'm heading off. 15 Howard usually helps at the store when it's busy, but when it's quiet, he attends a nearby language school. On days he doesn't write, he always finds something to keep busy with. Recently, he saw Alan's apology video, where fans were really tearing him apart. Apparently, Howard was forced out of the writing scene. Those 2 lousy people will get what's coming to them. Howard smiled at the comments. Maybe every step in life has a reason. Just like now, after getting through those dark days, giving up isn't as hard as he thought. He doesn't care anymore about the karma they'll face. When Howard leaves, Tina instinctively steps back. She doesn't want him to see her looking this rough. She's afraid of messing up his current happiness. But her unwillingness pushes her to slowly follow him. Howard is still as quiet and gentle as ever. Countless nights, she fell asleep holding him, thinking it would last forever, but it only lasted 5 years. Howard still has many 5-year periods to come, but Tina doesn't. She stifles a cough from her chest pain, standing there watching Howard at the podium. He's displaying a confidence she's never seen before. There was so much good about Howard she hadn't realized until she lost him. "Do you have a partner, teacher?" a playful young girl asked Howard. Surprised for a moment, he just smiled and shook his head. "No, I only love myself right now." Tina noticed the light in Howard's eyes. It's not because of love for her anymore. During their years together, Howard did change a lot. He began to look forward to their time together. Tina was the ray of light in his life, turning him from lonely to cheerful, from silent to chatty. He was happy during those loving years. Now, with no partner, he's learned to love himself. In the future, no matter who he meets, he knows how to protect himself from getting hurt. Tina couldn't watch any longer. As she struggled to turn her wheelchair away, she took one last deep look at Howard. This could be their final goodbye. "Howard, I hope your life is smooth without me. I hope you meet someone who loves you more. Howard, I'm setting you free." 2 months later, Howard and Tom opened their own language school. "Because of your luck, Howard, I'm a cultured person now." Tom joked with a smile at Howard. They were college buddies, and now they found their way back to their roots. "Hey boss, starting this company is thanks to you." Both had been hurt in love, so they provided support for each other. Sometimes healing doesn't come from romance, it also comes from friendship. Howard gradually started writing again. He interacted with fans on social media, sharing little snippets of his life. Once he stopped worrying so much, there was no need to hide anymore. "Hey, Howard posted something new. Looks like he's getting out of that funk. He seems to be doing really well. I'm kinda jealous that he still lives such an exciting life without a woman around. I want to work with him. Man, I've got to study hard and apply for his company after graduation. You guys hear the news?" Howard started writing again on his platform. "For real? Let me check it out." Tina stared at Howard's latest photo in deep thought. He's sitting on a park bench with a book, gazing into the distance. His eyes are serene and peaceful. The intellectual beauty of Howard is something Tina probably won't ever reach again. "Tina, it's almost time for your hospital appointment. Let's go." Tina wanted to decline, but Maria set this up. She doesn't have much time left, and she wants to make it easier on Maria by cooperating. The assistant took Tina for a checkup. Everyone knew it was a miracle she survived the accident, but no one knew the pain she endured every day. Many nights, she'd sweat through her pain yet never told anyone or asked the doctor for help. She thought it was what she deserved, that physical pain could lessen the heartache and help her forget Howard. In that way, it wasn't all bad. "Tina, you can't delay anymore. You really should start treatment." The doctor repeated this every visit, and both he and Tina were tired of hearing it. Her assistant's eyes welled up. She'd known Tina loved Howard deeply. Even when she was with Alan, she never forgot anything about Howard. But regardless of love, mistakes in relationships can never be forgiven. Tina chuckled self-deprecatingly. She knew her body well. "If I check in, how much time do I have?" Without looking at the doctor, she softly asked as she gazed out the window. After a moment, he answered, "If things go well, about 6 months. If not, maybe 3 months." Smiling, Tina asked, "And if I don't check in?" "About a month," he replied. Tina let out a relieved sigh. 1 month? This torture will drag on that long. It's just as well she has things to sort out. The doctor didn't get a response and instead watched as Tina instructed her assistant to leave the office. As she turned, he realized she wouldn't come back. She had already let go of the will to live. It was surprising she'd lasted even these extra months. "Tina, are we heading home?" the assistant asked Tina softly. For months now, Tina hadn't been managing the company's affairs much. It wasn't just because of her health. Ever since Howard left, she seemed to cling more to home, spending entire days sitting in her study or bedroom. But today, Tina shook her head. "Take me to the company. There's something I need to handle myself." Tina couldn't help but cough a few times. Seeing the blood on the tissue, the assistant pretended not to notice and handed her a glass of water. She'd been eating and sleeping very little lately. Painkillers seemed to have lost their effect on her. Everyone knew she didn't have much time left, but no one dared to say it aloud. Call the lawyer. I need to make a will. The lawyer arrived quickly. Tina handed him a document. Besides her, there was no one left to inherit the Brooks. Her mother was elderly and had sold off most of her assets, leaving enough money for her to live out the rest of her life comfortably. Tina, are you sure you want to leave all your assets to your husband, Mr. Howard? It had been a while since Tina heard Howard's name from anyone. Afraid it would upset her, everyone avoided mentioning him, but hearing it again made her heart ache. Yes, she intended to give everything to him. When they got married, she told Howard that from then on, everything she had, whether it was herself or her wealth, was his. Even though Howard didn't want her anymore, it didn't matter. After her death, her money was only meant for Howard. He's my husband. Of course, my estate belongs to him. The lawyer didn't ask more. People outside all knew Howard had gone abroad, clearly separating himself from Tina. Divorce papers had been sent, but Tina never signed them. She refused to sever the legal bond with Howard. Technically, they weren't divorced. Soon, she'd be a widow. Tina waved them out, and the lawyer and assistant left. She stayed in the office until darkness fell. As she looked out at the city filled with lights, none of them seemed to be shining for her. The loneliness and pain she now endured were once Howard's burden too. She didn't feel any resentment. Instead, it was almost comforting. She knew Howard wouldn't take her money, but she stubbornly wanted to give it to him. No matter how he chose to deal with it, it had to be his. This was probably the last thing she could do for him. Clear-headed days were becoming rarer for Tina. She refused to go to the hospital, so Maria had to hire a home doctor to help alleviate some of the pain. There really wasn't a better solution. Melody was with Tina until the end, staying by her side almost constantly in those last days. Tina, do you want to see Howard one last time? She thought nothing was more important than life or death. Howard would probably see her if he knew she was dying, right? But Tina shook her head. As much as she wanted to see him, there was no point. Seeing him wouldn't change the fact that she was dying. It wouldn't make things any better for Howard. Rather than giving him more trouble, it was best not to see him at all for a final goodbye. It's fine. Seeing him before was enough. In the end, it's my fault. Seeing me like this wouldn't make things better for him. Melody never imagined the love between Tina and Howard, which she once envied, would come to this. Melody, I prepared a will earlier. After I'm gone, can you deliver it to Howard? Melody wanted to say Howard wouldn't care about the money. To him, Tina mattered more than anything, but she stayed silent. This might be Tina's last wish. Don't worry, I'll make sure he gets it. Is there anything else? Tina's hands shook as she took out a piece of ancient jade from her pocket. Howard had never worn it, but she still wanted to give it to him. She wanted him to know that while she couldn't give him a lifetime of love herself, she hoped he could find someone who could. But these words weren't spoken. She just handed the jade to Melody. There were so many things she wanted to say to Howard, but none seemed to leave her lips. Her regrets were too big to be conveyed in just a few words. On the day she passed away, the weather was beautiful. Tina's eyes remained fixed on the window, as if seeing Howard smiling at her, telling her it was all over and he would be happy. Howard received Tina's will a month later. Along with it came that ancient jade. Howard, Tina passed away a week ago. Melody delivered the will personally, fulfilling Tina's last request. Melody didn't see Tom. She smiled bitterly. He was still avoiding her. Howard's hands shook as he took the envelope from Melody. Although he had resented Tina, hearing of her death left him aching. His promise to never see her again ended just as the words foretold. How could she die? He thought she'd only been disabled. Alan got what he deserved. How could she be gone? Melody shook her head. At first, she hadn't realized how bad Tina's health was either. I only found out at the very end. Her car accident was really severe. It's a miracle she survived. If she had continued treatment, she could have lived a few more years. But she refused. Maybe when she got hit, she already had no will to live. Tina's funeral is set for a week from now. Melody didn't ask Howard if he would attend. Once a person is gone, does it really matter if you go back or not? When will the funeral be? Howard asked with red eyes. Melody felt a bit of a sting all of a sudden. If Tina knew Howard planned to go back, would she have regretted not seeing him one last time? He was going back, she would have been happy about that, right? In a week, will you go back? Howard nodded, a tear slipping from his eye. The girl who once saved him from a fire, the wife who betrayed him and got her karma, she died, of course. He had to attend her funeral. Howard never thought he would see Tina again at her funeral. He stood there, in the family's spot, bowing in gratitude to those attending. Maria was too devastated to show up. Melody and some of Tina's friends handled the arrangements. All he had to do was be there. Looking at Tina lying in the crystal coffin, Howard couldn't even recognize her. She was so thin, lying there lifeless and quiet. There'd be no more smiles, no more asking him to come back, no more love. Their entanglements ended with Tina's passing. He thought about their college days, that cheerful girl who always surrounded him, saving him seats in the library, waiting in line for his meals. She got hurt by his indifference every time but always returned with enthusiasm. Howard had loved her passionately, seeing her as his only support in the world. Though he felt sad, he wasn't as heartbroken as he'd imagined he'd be. He was there as her husband to see her off full circle in a way. Howard stood outside his old home for a long time before opening the door. Felt as empty as always. First Howard left, then Tina passed. Now it would be even emptier because neither would return. It would be someone else's home eventually, maybe a new love story, but never Tina and Howard's. In the study, Howard found their divorce papers he signed but Tina had shredded and left on the desk. Next to it was a folded letter, Tina's last goodbye to Howard. Even in her last moments when sitting was difficult, she managed to write down her final thoughts. My dear Howard, I hope this finds you well. When you read this, I'm probably already gone, making amends below. Howard, whether you take it or not, I need to apologize one last time. I'm sorry for hurting you. I know I have no right to ask for anything, but I selfishly put your name on my tombstone as my husband. I didn't sign the divorce papers. Forgive me for not giving you real freedom even in death, because in my heart, you've always been my husband, and I, your wife forever. I know you must think I'm ridiculous, and so do I. When you left without a word, I was terrified. Howard, I loved you more than I thought. I realized it after you left. They say late love is worthless. I know I can't undo anything. Howard, I'm dying and wish to see you again. You've never once appeared in my dreams, maybe you hate me. Howard, in the next life, can I love you again? I'll do better. I won't fail you again. Howard, my love, goodbye forever. Howard read the letter peacefully, folded it back up, and burned it with the lighter on the desk. He had seen it and that was enough. Forgiveness was enough. With Tina's passing, everything between them, love and hate, is over. Howard donated all his assets to the local Red Cross. He had given up on Tina long ago, so why keep her money? Could serve a better purpose. He sold the villa where they spent 5 years together. He never planned to return to this city. Tom and Howard's business kept growing. Their language schools spread across Europe. Then they ventured into tourism. These two men had each other, making the most out of their lives. Years later, Howard held a babbling toddler and watched his wife busy in the kitchen, sunlight warmly filling their home with happiness. Suddenly, all the struggles felt worth it. Maybe you have to walk a bumpy road to truly earn this kind of happiness.